You are most welcome back to Matchbook's US Golf Podcast, our inaugural one last week. Split week, guys, 3 out of 6. Funnily enough, 6 matchups that we bet. 5 of these were decided by Friday night, which is kind of good, kind of not good. But then Joaquin Niemann had like a 7-shot lead over Leishman and basically just laid a massive egg. Tough one. Andy, good weekend for you, mate. I know it was a very good weekend for your partner here, but what was it like for you, bud?
Yeah, it was good up until that point. And then I didn't even play any matchups on Sunday with the oddness we had of, resuming some rounds from Saturday. And honestly, I just wanted a Sunday off. I just sat. It was nice just sitting and watching a final round because at that point I'd just given up on Niemann. And I wanted to see. Honestly, I was kind of cheering against Tony at the end because it just turns into a fun running gag or just always a bridesmaid. So it was a good final, good final round. We had a fun tournament. Hopefully we have more of these, especially when we get in some of these tournaments that actually mean something.
Yeah, PGA has been great. And one guy who was definitely screaming and cheering against Tony Finau was you, James Mazzola. You tipped him up in your own podcast, Max Homa, this week.
Yeah, it was an interesting down the stretch. It was way too much for me to handle at that point. I mean, Max misses a 3-footer for the win. He goes into a tree well, hits an insane shot. It's hard not to feel bad for Finau. He definitely didn't choke that away. You can't shoot a 64 and choke away at a golf tournament. So the one time where I will say that he didn't do that, missed a couple putts coming down the stretch. But all in all, head-to-heads went well. Obviously, the Homa outright is a lot of fun. And it was just a great tournament. It's such a great golf course. I absolutely love it. That's one of my favorite tournaments of the year. So it's nice to hit another outright there for sure.
Sounds good. Guys, obviously we did our first one last week, but just want to give this a quick plug. We're nominated for Best Betting Podcast in the 2021 Smart Betting Club Awards. Yeah, you guys have only been here a week and you're getting nominated for awards. This is the effect you gentlemen have. Wow. But we did win it without you guys 2 years in a row in 2019 and 2020. So this closes on Thursday before the golf. So check out the pinned tweet on Team Matchbook's Twitter page or the Matchbook pod page, and it will also be in the bio for this podcast and in our YouTube page. So look, again, a lot of people probably only watch us for the first time here, but we do a lot of other content. And look, bias aside, I think we do it pretty well. So please, if you are enjoying our content, this content and other content, please give us your vote. James Mazzola, we don't have a lot of history about this concession course, but reading into it, I don't know how much, this name is a bit weird too, concessions. I think this may play it pretty tough, but what do you know about this one and what should we be looking for this weekend?
So it's a Jack Nicklaus design, and it's actually the name is in the history of golf is key because Jack Nicklaus conceded a putt in the Ryder Cup to the same guy who helped him design this golf course, and that's why they call it concession. So he conceded a putt to be the first and only tie in the Ryder Cup. Being a UK guy, I'm sure you enjoy the Ryder Cup.
Irish,
so
that's why, not UK.
Sorry,
not
Irish.
UK.
My bad. I didn't get that right. But that's why it's called concession. So Jack Nicklaus design, he's a lot of target golf off the tee. This is a little interesting from him, though.
Yeah.
And again, we don't have a lot on this golf course. So what I've been able to figure out is that the greens are insanely undulated, and you have to be able to hit them in the right places in order to make birdies. The par fives, I think you're going to have bombers, are the only way that you're going to be able to reach those. The par fours are only scoreable if you're on the right tier. It looks like a difficult golf course, but when we're in Florida, we have the Bermuda, obviously, all across the course. But most importantly, it's about the wind, man. So if it's windy, it's going to play one way. If it's not windy, it's going to play an entirely different way. So, check that weather forecast. We're a little too early on that, but generally speaking, you're going to want to get your wind players. And if it kicks up, this thing's going to be difficult for sure.
Yeah. So each of you got 4 tournament matches. Andy, do you want to just jump back in there a sec?
Yeah, I'm very excited to start betting daily matchups starting on Friday once I've actually seen the course play. Because just like James said, like we haven't seen this in action. They moved because of the pandemic stuff. They ended up not having this where they normally would have. And it looks like the weather is going to be nice. And it's funny, they're actually slowing the greens down from how they normally play this for members, because these greens are supposed to be just lightning fast, and they're actually going to water them down and slow them down a little to keep some of these balls on, and also because they want to put some pretty nasty pin placements, I do believe. And like JD said, there's going to be these sections or quadrants to the greens, and if you don't land in the right one, you're hoping for a 2-putt. So it's going to take some strong iron play.
Yeah, speaking of members, Paul Aidan just said during the week he's 600 over par since it became a member. I think the course is open since 2006, so I don't know what he's been doing. But maybe he's just not any good anymore. That can be possible too.
I'll say
That's
this: members of golf courses, they want it to be the hardest golf course that people ever play. They want everyone to think that it's like the most difficult thing in the world.
Yeah.
So I take that shit with a grain of salt, to be honest with you. You're just speaking out of his butt.
Sounds good. So both of these gentlemen are going to do 4 matchups each today. But if you're watching us now live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, if you've got some other matchups you want to pick the brains of these guys, please let us know. James, going to start with you first. Let's take a look at the betting for the first one you want to talk about. And this one is Dustin Johnson against Jon Rahm. Now, you went to the well with the Spaniard last week, but I think you're going against them this week.
Yeah, so this is a lot more of a play on Dustin Johnson than it is against Jon Rahm. I mean, Rahm's playing wonderful. The thing about Rahm that we've seen since he made the equipment change is that new putter, that 2-ball putter that he has in his bag, rather than the TaylorMade Spider. He's not putting the same as he did last year, and what we come to know Rahm as one of the better putters on tour. DJ's floor at this point is like top 10. Like even last week, he played like absolute dog shit on Sunday and still finished like 5th. He was right there and he didn't really do anything great throughout the entire week. He wasn't spectacular. I mean, that was probably like his C+ B- game. And you still saw him get 7th on a golf course that was very difficult. And, if it's anything like what Andy's describing in terms of the greens and the hardness and the quickness to them, we're going to see a lot of the same kind of golf shots into these greens. A Southern guy, super used to Bermuda. It's actually his best putting surface. He loves the Poa, obviously, but he's used to the Bermuda. So this is more of a play on DJ. I have him just a couple percentage points ahead of Rahm in this. So taking a little bit of value. It's not a strong play by any means, but when you have a guy like Dustin Johnson, who his floor is just so high right now, he's playing at an insane level. I'm going to go ahead and grab that small edge for sure.
Yeah, I bet you're backing DJ there as much as fading Rahm. 1.84 currently. You can back DJ to beat Jon Rahm. He's obviously at the top of the outright market as well, -119. And you know who else is fading Jon Rahm? Mr. Andy Molitor. You're fading him, though, with Xander Schauffele, Andy. And a bigger price at 2.16 or plus 116. Why so?
Oh, this was 2.2 when I wrote it down this morning. So
the money's coming. The money's coming.
It's getting. I don't even know how to say it right. It's getting matched. The money's getting matched.
Matchbook.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
So there we go. But yes, same kind of thing. Like I don't have a ton I can say about John that's bad. Like he's a great player, but with the equipment change, I do think Xander's going to make up for maybe I don't want to say a shortfall, but Rahm's going to be maybe a little better off the tee, but in the other parts of the game, Xander's right there and probably can make up for most anything on the dance floor. Being a dog price here, and when I run my numbers and I start comparing how I put my power, my power numbers to the prices in the outright market, the prices in some of these head-to-heads, he's top 3 for me this week. He's top 5 for me almost every week. He's a guy I like and respect a lot, and I do think getting a dog price here is a nice little gift, as I put this at about a pick'em. So I rate him a little higher, and even if he does get beat off the tee here, I think we're putting a lot of stock into that this week. As far as it's a long course, and we might need bombers, but again, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know. I'm not 100. I think these fairways are going to be sort of forgiving as long as you can find them, and it sounds like everybody's going to be finding them. The trees are way off, so even if he's getting out driven, I think Xander's going to make up for it around the green and with his short game. So getting the dog price here, I like it quite a bit.
Yeah, he's a good player to have in these matchups, I find. Generally doesn't miss that many cuts, and he's normally thereabouts. Mr. Mazzola, this is one you sent to me earlier, and I kind of started digging into it, and this is one I really like. I think this potentially could be one of your best bets. I don't want to say otherwise. You like Cantlay against Justin Thomas. No, he's the dog in this one. For me, if you look at their stats for the start of 2021, and obviously look, Thomas could come good yet in the season, but all of the signs, why isn't Cantlay a favorite in this one?
Justin Thomas is interesting this week, and I've been getting a lot of DMs about him in the outright market. I'm just a full fade at this point, and it's not – a lot of it has to do with just where he is mentally. Unfortunately, he lost his grandpa, for a guy like me personally, like my grandpa, when I lost my grandpa, I was like a month where I couldn't do anything. Like it was like so I understand. Like and again, this is a game where you have to have everything mentally ready to go. Now, when we look at last week, he lost strokes in every single category. He got the news on that Sunday and just, he completely checked out at the Sunday at the Waste Management where he was right there, in the tournament. Actually, I'm not sure if it was Waste, but when he found out, I'm just wondering where he is mentally. And then we get a guy like Cantlay, who at this point in his career is just a top 20 machine. We're looking at a second at the Amex, a third at the AT&T, a 15th at the Genesis, gaining strokes across the board. He actually lost strokes at Riviera at putting, which is really rare for him. He's a very solid putter. So, I'm getting a guy who we know what we're going to get from Cantlay. Right now, and could JT win this golf tournament? Absolutely. He's one of the best players in the world. Let's not, let's call it what it is. But if I can get a guy as solid as Cantlay, and we're looking at a super high variance guy in Justin Thomas right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and just fade his where he is mentally. And I hate to do it, but look, we have to make some money here. Will JT be back this year? Will he be a top 5 player in the world? Absolutely, 100%. He's just not that right now. So let's go ahead and take Cantlay, who's playing like he is. And we'll go, and I make it, like you said, I make this basically a pick 'em. So at plus money, there's no way that we can grab the Cantlay number.
I was looking at stats this morning. Only Paul Casey has a better strokes gained number since January the 1st over Cantlay. He's been in terrific form. Yeah, this guy is. You're watching majors this year, and we're only 6 weeks out from the Masters. This is a guy definitely to be watching 100%. For the weeks ahead. Andy, James picked Xander Schauffele a couple of minutes ago. You were going to do the same against Rory McIlroy in this matchup, just under 1.8. Xander
more Xander all the time.
all the Xander for him.
All the Xander. As a favorite here, Rory, God bless his heart, great golfer, but this is not, this is not several years
We're
ago.
not going to get kicked off the show if we talk trash about Rory, are we?
Not really,
Northern Ireland. That's Northern Ireland. That's a whole
different Ireland.
We won't get into that. We won't get into that. No.
It's a completely different Ireland. No, so if you want to go there too, it might be 90 down in Florida. That's not exactly Belfast weather. I'm sure he'll be fine. He's golfed for many years but again, the weather should be beautiful. I have PTSD after that wind on Saturday ruining my weekend, but it looks like that's not going to be an issue. This is another guy. I'm basically looking to probably fade some of these people that I think are a little overpriced because they are bombers. I think this is a price I can get. What was it, 1.79, somewhere around there. So again, Xander's my ace this week. He's in the top 3 for me, and I have Rory quite a bit lower. Not based off anything really he's done wrong. He's just been a little more inconsistent than some of these top players. He's had some bad stretches putting. He's had some bad stretches, again, approach shots. And if you're not getting your approach shots where they need to be here, you're going to be two putting you're hoping you're two putting. As far as there's going to be some nasty putts here where you're hoping you can get it close enough to not mess around and end up with a 3-putt 5 on some of these longer 4s. And if you're not scoring on those, you're absolutely going to need to score on these 5s. Rory's long enough to score on some of these 5s, but again, if he's inconsistent with his second shot, and maybe James has something to say about this, but second shots are always important, but this might be the ultimate in second shot courses where it's like these greens are small, they're unforgiving. And if Rory's inconsistent there, again, I'm happy to take Xander here, even as a favorite. So 1.79 here. And he's my ace, and his short game is just top notch all around. So hopefully, even if he's a few yards out compared to Rory, once we get close to the dance floor on it, I'm more happy to have someone who's got a better short game.
James, jump back in.
Yeah, just to go back on the Rory, when he was at his peak prior to COVID, he was gaining 4 or 5 strokes on approach, every single tournament en route to basically the top 5 machine. Lost 1.7 at the Genesis with the miscut, 1.8 at the Waste, 2.1 at the Farmers. That's just not going to get it done because his short game is just not good enough. He's going to need to gain, on approach, and especially here, you got to put it in the right spot. So I think Andy's spot on with that play.
That's it. Like last week, I couldn't figure out what was worse, his short game, his approach, or even off the tee. And when he's bad off the tee, it's like there's no chance this guy is going to make it up on the green or closer to it. All right, I like that. Just under 1.8 for Xander to beat Rory in that matchup. The next one we are looking at, this guy, we've talked about this guy already, Justin Thomas, Tyrell. We're just going to pick on him here, James. Tyrell, much bigger price, of course, at 2.29, which is plus 129 in US odds. So, I look, you've kind of laid out the map already with JT, but what's the story here about Hatton?
I guess Xander is Andy's guy, and I guess my guy has to fade JT this week. So we're gonna go with Hatton. Here's the thing: Hatton, obviously, a European Tour player, right? So a lot of the stats that we get are a little misconstrued because the strokes gain stuff is not quite as good there. So we just have to look at performance from Hatton. Win at Dubai, 22nd at the next Dubai tournament, and a 6th at Saudi. And those are the desert swings. So then he takes the couple weeks to come back to the United States. Now he's gonna be gearing up for the Masters, right? Well, previous to the Masters last year, he won at the Arnold Palmer, which is just a Florida tournament. The guy is a top 5 player in the world right now by the world golf rankings, which that's for another podcast. Probably we can talk about that, but still, at the very least, a top 10 player in the world who is in insane form. The name for the U.S. markets are not going to be, he's not going to be that name brand. I love him this week over Thomas. His game has been so solid throughout 2020, and he's just brought that into 2021 with his performance in the desert. I look for him to have a huge year stateside, definitely a Masters contender. And again, we talked about JT. I'm looking for guys who have high floors against a Justin Thomas, who's his variance. He can win this golf tournament, but we saw what happened to Genesis with him missing the cut. He's all over the place right now. So again, same thing with Hatton, or same thing with Cantlay with the previous analysis. Very solid. A top 20 here is pretty much his floor. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And again, you have to adjust your numbers with the European guys. I make this another pick 'em, man. Hatton is just as good as all these guys are. So, and it's not being reflected in the market. So we'll take advantage of that.
Yeah, 2.29. Andy, you want to jump back in there?
Yeah, I was going to say I played this too. Like just everything you said, I full agree. Like I make these, I just left it off because you already had it. I make this super close to a pick 'em, and then if you throw in, what JT's going through right now, like it's kind of you almost have to take this price. And the only knock on Hatton is maybe a little bit around the green, but I'm not too worried about it. The rest of his game is so solid. So love this. This should be your best pick. Like make this.
Hey, whoa, we're not there yet.
I don't want to influence
it. Yeah, he's going to come back in and steal it off you anyway, probably. Look, even regards Justin Thomas, you don't want to pile on, but even that stuff, losing the Ralph Lauren sponsorship a couple of weeks prior to that, and those comments, it all just adds up. The mental health of someone, it's just not great. But like we said, this is not like putting the death knell in this guy. He's a terrific golfer, and he will come good later on in the season. But it's all about timing generally with these tournament matchups as well, horses for courses and all that. Okay, Lee Westwood, Kevin Kisner. This is your one, Andy, I think. And what's the story here? You're backing. It's a short price, Andy, but you like Kisner to beat Westwood in this one.
Yeah, I don't like laying this one. And somebody did ask me about this last week because they just went and laid a bunch of heavy prices. And I said, I probably will be looking to maybe sell a stroke or two if I can find this matchup when stuff comes around stateside. But I mean, just a full Westwood fade. I like Kisner. Neither of these guys hits the ball that hard. Neither of them hits it that far. And Kisner, I mean, he can be bad off the tee. In fact, they both can. But these fairways, hopefully they are forgiving. And Kisner, you'll just have to rely on his approach game. We talked about it already. It is a second stroke course. We're hoping. Again, we haven't seen it that much. And these are Bermuda greens where Kisner absolutely excels. I mean, as far as you don't want to just say, like, here's the guys who are good on Bermuda. Sometimes it's nice to look at, here's guys who are so much better on Bermuda than other types of course or other types of greens. Kisner's one of those guys who has always putted well on these. So if his short game is running nicely, again, you can't miss the cut here. So again, we're not cashing these on Friday.
Yeah.
But I mean, this would be one, I almost want to say this would be one I would like more if you could get cut because I think Westwood could eject a little here. But at the same time, the other way to think about that is if you truly do have an edge on one golfer over another, watching it play out for a full 4 rounds, it should flesh itself out even more, unless it's Joachim Neiman and things go to hell. It's never going to let that one. So, and Westy, another guy who's, I mean, he's a 47-year-old journeyman really at this point. He's won all over the place. I don't want to
some respect to his name.
I know. He's won on like every continent. I mean, the guy has had success all over, but I'm fine backing the younger man with the better putter here. So give me the short price on Kisner. Sorry.
I do like how you're sending Westwood to the seniors tour as well. That's nice of you. Might just maybe let him know in the meantime. So next one, want to talk about James, your one here. Carlos Ortiz and Lanto Griffin. I won't lie, if Lanto Griffin came up and started talking to me in Australia, I wouldn't know who actually he is. However, you want to fade Ortiz this week again, which was a successful outcome last week.
Yeah, I make this completely flipped. These numbers should be flipped for what I have. So this is, I'm not, Andy stole my best bet, so I might need to move it around. But this number is wild. Last week, the same analysis this week for last week with Ortiz, who ended up missing the cut because guess what?
Yeah.
He didn't gain 7 strokes putting like he had the previous 3 weeks, which was buoying his number to an insane price considering how bad of a form he was striking. It's the exact same thing going on right now. Is Ortiz a good player? Absolutely. The thing about Lanto is this. He's gained basically strokes on approach every single week for his entire career for the last 2-3 months, right? He was 0 last week, but 5.7 at the Farmers, 0.8 at the Amex, 2.2 at the Sony. So we know we're going to get a good ball striking performance from him. But here's the thing. He's actually a more sustainably good putter than Ortiz is. But if you look at Lanto's putting stats, he's in the plus for stroke gain putting for pretty much every single week, whereas Ortiz is just coming off this hot putting stretch. Everyone wanted to jump on him. And I don't think people have jumped off of him yet. So, again, I make this a completely flip with these numbers. It doesn't make any sense to me. Lanto is just simply a better golfer than Ortiz is. T2 green through the green. So, again, it's an easy play for me. And I'm going to fade Ortiz until his price is correct.
34 matchups at Matchbook this week. I was surprised this one was here. That was pretty extensive.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, because there's obviously the most popular ones are towards the top of the leaderboard. So yeah, you're not going to see too many of these. But yeah, like the angle. Andy, wrap us up for matchup 8 on the books. And you're of course saving the best for last. The Irishman himself, Shane Lowry, from the county of Offaly, and you like him here at a good underdog against El Nino, Sergio Garcia.
Yeah, this person is actually from Ireland, James. He's from the real Ireland, Shane Lowry.
Failed geography.
He reminds me, big burly bearded guy, good looking fella. And yes,
who does it remind you?
I mean, it looks like all of us. I mean, Shane Lowry, he's a guy and again,
if you spent a lot of time in the Dominican Republic, he'd look like me, huh?
maybe fading again, someone who can be long off the tee, but I think is a bit overvalued here. And this is another one too. If you go look at some of the normal places I go look for stats, be like, well, there aren't a lot lately because both of these men have been playing over in the Euro Tour, been playing in the desert. And Sergio actually had some half decent results over the last couple of tournaments, but I still do have him a little overvalued on a course like this. I think he's going to drive the piss out of the ball. He's going to certainly beat Lowry off the tee, and then that's probably where it ends. I've been happy to fade Sergio for about 3 years in certain spots here, especially after that Masters win, he took like a 2-year victory lap where every once in a while he just top 5 out of nowhere and you'd lose some money. But this is when I make this a lot closer to a pick'em. So happy to take Shane Lowry here as an underdog. It's more of a just mispricement for me. So it's and proximity too. I guess I did look a little into proximity here. I had a little trouble kind of discerning, exactly how long everybody's tee shots or second shots will be because we don't have a ton of stats on this. It's, just kind of looking at it and figuring out where some of these landing zones are, but just anything from, short to mid to semi-long range second shots. I think Lowry's going to have an advantage with his irons here. So give me another underdog week, which is what I do when I don't know the course that well.
Something right. Yeah, but look, I mean, would anyone really be happy backing Sergio at 1.63? No, seriously. Against who? I don't know. You're on about victory laps, 2-year victory laps for the Masters. I reckon Danny Willett could have matched him there like 2 or 3. He got about 4 years. He was going around on Saturday nights like wearing that green jacket, just going for an Indian takeaway with his wife. So that guy was just like he got somewhere out of that jacket. Let me tell you. And
I'll just add this on the, if this golf tournament ends up playing difficult and you have to get up and down around the greens, Shane Lowry's short game is insane. And you know who's is awful is Sergio Garcia. So I love that play. I concur.
Just one question in there from Southpaw Hack watching us on YouTube. He has Hatton plus 105 versus Hovland. Any thoughts on that one? I mean, look, you obviously got Hatton there, but I think Hovland, I was looking at the outright market here earlier. He seems to be an early pick. With Matchbook,
that's a tough one because it's just so hard to fade Hovland right now, considering where his form is. I mean, he's a top 20 machine. That's an absolute incorrect price, though. If you look at for ceiling to win this golf tournament, it's just do we really want to pick on Victor Hovland? That's a problem here. There's value there 100% because Hatton should never be a dog to Hovland. I mean, Hatton is just, this guy's a worldwide winner. He has like 8 wins worldwide, right? Including, and stateside. But at the same time, it's like, man, we're really splitting hairs there if we're trying to fade Victor Hovland right now.
Hovland can get in a little trouble around the green.
Yeah.
If he's missing these greens, again, like you just said about Sergio, if he has to do a little bit of pitch and putt around the green, he could get in some trouble. But I mean, you're right. It probably should be like -115.
Yeah.
One other quick one there from Picks by Dre. Any value on Bryson -112 versus Rory, or DJ -152 versus Rory? They're short. Prices DJ is very short, obviously.
Yeah, I would be looking to lay the stroke. That's a tough one. It's just bright again. When I'm analyzing full tournament head-to-head matchups, I'm looking at floors a lot more than I'm looking at ceilings, right? So when I look at Bryson at 112, does Bryson have? To me, I might make them almost the exact same to win this golf tournament. But I'm not really interested in a Bryson outright, or excuse me, in a Bryson head-to-head, just because we saw what he can do last week when it gets a little squirrely, right? Rory is way more consistent of a player at this point, even around the greens. But Bryson probably, if you look at the outright market, there's value in that if you compare it to the full tournament market, which obviously and he knows this, that you can't really do that. That's not how it works. But I'm not a big fan of backing Bryson in full tournament head-to-head just because he can either win the golf tournament or that driver gets squirrely or he starts doing stupid shit. He's ejected, and he's going to shoot a lot.
Yeah, look, it was when we talked about Bryson. I tagged you guys in the tweet before the Masters in November. He was outright favorite, but he was underdog in every one of his matchups. And you guys explained it to me. I'd be honest, I was kind of a bit immune to it. I thought they were correlated with the outright market, but they're very much not, especially with the likes of Bryson. Yeah,
and he is right now. Nothing's changed with him. He is. Like, he has a very wide distribution of results. Like James said, the floor and the ceiling are a long ways away. It's like that 30-foot foyer when you walk into the house. He can go to the top, but he can be in the basement too. So I'm staying clear away from that guy for the interim. And maybe on an outright price if you can get a big enough price on him here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just do a quick recap before I get your best bets for you, gentlemen. So James had Dustin Johnson to beat John Rahm. Andy had Xander to beat John Rahm. Picking on John Rahm there again. James had Cantlay to beat Justin Thomas. Really like that one. Andy, Xander, Schauffele to beat Rory. James had Tyrell to beat Justin Thomas. Tyrell Hatton. Andy had Kevin Kisner to beat Lee Westwood. James had Lanto Griffin to beat Carlos Ortiz. And to wrap it up, Andy went with Shane Lowry to beat Sergio Garcia. As I said, 34 tournament matchups at Matchbook this week. If you have not got a Matchbook account, you do want to get involved because the chances are you're not going to get these matchups anywhere else on this side of the Atlantic. You can sign up for at matchbook.com today. Bet 10 on your first bet at odds of 2.0 plus 100 or even money in fractional terms. You will get your next bet for 10 quid. That is for new customers only. You have to be 18 plus, of course. And please do gamble responsibly at all times. Before I ask you for your best bets, gentlemen, let's just have a look at these 4-timers. The Mazzola 4-timer. Yeah, there we go. Look, DJ to beat Rahm, Cantlay to beat JT, Hatton to beat JT, picking on JT as well. Griffin to beat Ortiz pays 11.6 or plus 1,060 at matchbook.com. Mr. Molitor, you obviously want to know what your one pays. Slightly beat you, mate, for price. Slightly beat you. You know what killed you there? Yeah. Kisner killed you there. Just dropped you a bit down. Kisner killed you. Price. The Molitor quad, Schauffele to beat Rahm, Schauffele to beat Rory, Kisner to beat Westwood, Lowry to beat Sergio pays 11.1 or plus 1,010 at matchbook.com. Best bets. Wants to go first. Andy, go on. Jump in. What's your best bet?
Well, I don't want to steal. Well, we didn't overlap, so I should just steal one of James. That would be funny.
That would be pretty cheeky.
You should take it, actually.
Yeah, just take one. You can take one of mine. But yeah, it's X-Man, Xander over Rahm. It's at that dog price. Like, that's the one truly where I make the pricing. That's the one I have the furthest off. Like, I want Xander as a dog there because I make him a favorite. Yeah. I have him about -115 in a matchup like that. So I make that the biggest disparity, and that's going to be my best bet for the weekend.
All right, James, what's yours?
I'm going to zig a little bit here. it's not going to be Hatton over JT. And here's the thing, and this is what's wonderful about, and I, truth be told, before, we agreed to do this podcast, I have no reason to peruse the Matchbook matchups, but I like the fact that we're going a little bit deeper into this field, into the middle guys, because for me, I can find bigger discrepancies in my numbers with the middle guys. The top guys are all really, really close together. We're kind of splitting hairs a little bit. So I said it in the analysis, that Lanto, Griffin, Ortiz matchup should be completely flipped. And to me, that's my biggest value of the week. Lanto's floor is so high considering his ball striking is so solid. And he's also a wonderful putter. I don't know how Ortiz gets it done if he's not gaining 7 strokes on putt on the greens like he has the previous 3 weeks, which is what has gotten his number to this. So Lanto over Ortiz is my best bet.
Anyone want to price up the over and under of how many places I'm going to get Lanto Griffin in any matchbooks? That's not a matchbook. Any matchups.
I searched every book I had for that exact same, and I could not find it. So
there you go. That'll keep me busy for the next 48 hours. Isn't it? Okay. Yeah. Guys, we're out of time. Thank you so much as ever, James. Andy, as ever, thank you so much. We will be back next Tuesday and every Tuesday. Only 6 weeks to the Masters. Guys.
Oh, baby. Don't give me so
wow. Excited. Hopefully
that's what we thought this time last year.
Oh boy! Oh,
yeah, don't say it! Don't say it!
Jesus!
All right, we're out of time. We will see. On that note, we will see you next Tuesday, and best of luck with your golf bets this weekend. Take care.
Take care.